If you're anything like me, you love to watch people here on YouTube showcase their home desk setups. Back in like 2008, it started off with tech YouTubers having nifty little MacBook Pro setups in their room with maybe an Xbox or an iPod Touch in each corner of the desk. There are also tons of accessories all over it, and that was kind of what was fun. You got to see everybody's unique little touch. Those were certainly simpler times because nowadays you can search desk setup tours where people literally showcase the most over-the-top and lavish studios you can imagine. It's like everybody has a triple monitor setup with 3 different rigs, one for gaming, one for video editing, and one for days where they just want to browse the web or something. I don't know. The point is, setups have gotten pretty spectacular, and don't get me wrong, I love checking these out, but when it comes to my own home office, I like to keep things a little simpler. Today, I want to show you around my minimalistic desk setup. It's funny, one of the things that I recognize about myself in high school and college was that I almost prided myself on having the most tech accessories, and collectibles in my workspace. It was more of a museum than anything, and it all got pretty outdated pretty quickly. What I realized is that there is always going to be new special edition video games that I could buy and display, or new mice and keyboards that I could try out. However, I realized in the past few years that I wanted to simplify my life and reduce the number of possessions, not increase them. Rather than always trying to be on the hamster wheel of getting the latest and greatest pieces of tech to outfit my desk setup, I chose to find products that worked for me, and if I didn't need to replace something or fill a new void, I wouldn't buy it. Honestly, it's one of the best decisions that I've made because I don't get attracted to the latest shiny object, I save a lot of money, and my setup remains clean, simple, and organized. Without dragging things out any longer, let me show you what I use on a daily basis and how it works for me. As you can see at a glance, this setup is incredibly simple. The desktop itself is something I like to keep free of clutter, and I can always move things around depending on what I'm working on. Starting with the desk, my whole computer setup lives on a somewhat custom-built standing desk. It basically gives me a top-of-the-line standing desk for only a few $100s. I made a video a few months ago showing you what components I used to build this, so be sure to check that out if you're interested. As I mentioned in that video, I put caster wheels on the base of my desk so that I can basically move it around and switch things up if necessary, and I can even wheel it to a different room in my house if I want a total change of scenery. Starting on the top of the desk from left to right, you can see that I have a 14-inch M1 Macbook Pro. This is my work laptop, and when I'm not traveling, I'm working remotely, and it lives right here on a vertical stand to prop it up and out of the way. The stand is actually something that's not very fancy. I made it out of a spare piece of wood, so if you're interested in seeing that, I can always provide a quick tutorial in case you don't mind a little woodworking content. But speaking of microphone, that's the next item on my desk. I guess I'm no different than every 16-year-old Fortnite streamer because I too am rocking the Blue Yeti microphone. I only picked this up about a year ago, but I use it every single day. It works beautifully for conference calls, voiceovers, and everything in between. I also think the Blackout version looks super clean, and for less than $100, you really can't go wrong with this mic. I'm using it right now so you can hear exactly what it sounds like. Hopefully it's crystal clear. Next up is the literal center point of my setup, the monitor. It's an LG monitor that I actually purchased back in 2019 because it was one of the only 4K USB-C monitors on the market. This was actually probably cheaper when I first bought it than it is now, but I could be wrong. I'll leave the link for this and everything else you're seeing in the video in the description below. Sitting atop the display itself is my webcam. It's a Logitech BRIO, which I've had for almost 2 years now, and I think I bought it to capture some initial 4K video, but I wouldn't say the quality is anything to write home about. I'm using it right now to film this clip so you can see for yourself how the picture quality is. Finally, on the right side of my desk, I have a simple foldable LED lamp from Amazon and a plant that serves as kind of just the lone desk accessory. The lamp is actually super handy because when it's not illuminating things on the desk, I can actually use it to illuminate me on video calls. I can change the warmth between 3 simple settings and I can swivel the arm up and down as needed. Now, shifting back towards the middle of the desk, you can see the final few accessories. 2 keyboards and a mouse. The mouse is actually something that's a bit of a blast from the past. I've probably had it for like 5+ years, and it's the original Logitech MX Master mouse. I got it right after it launched because I was replacing my old MX Performance mouse, and now since then they have like 3 different iterations of this thing. Honestly, it works really well for me right now, but the battery life is starting to diminish a little bit. It might be the next thing to get replaced in my setup, but we'll just go with the latest model. I love this mouse overall. Then finally, the 2 keyboards. Probably not the most ideal setup, but honestly it works for me because I like the Magic Keyboard, and specifically the Apple Magic Keyboard with Touch ID. I have two keyboards because one of them is used for my work laptop, and then the other is actually connected to my secret little editing rig that I keep mounted under the desk. There's no way to easily toggle between two devices on an Apple keyboard, so this kind of just keeps things simple for me. I know there are other keyboard options out there that I could just do via Bluetooth and toggle between two machines from one device. But like I said, this just keeps it simple and easy for me. And I got the second keyboard for free when I got that editing rig under the desk that I was talking about, AKA an M1 Mac Mini. I made a video about this too a couple months ago, but I bought the cheapest Mac Mini that I could find on eBay last summer. I needed something that could handle 4K video editing, but I didn't want to break the bank and buy something super expensive. Instead, I knew that I had all these accessories already available to me, so I just needed the brains of the operation. I went ahead and found a 2020 M1 Mac Mini for less than $500 on eBay, and I bought that. It came with a couple other accessories like the keyboard that I was talking about, so it was an awesome deal. I mounted it under my desk using a simple mount that I found on Amazon, and I tried to do as much cable management as possible to keep things neat and tidy. This way, everything on top of the desk remains organized, and I can still swap between my two computers when necessary. So that's it. That's my minimalist desk setup in the spring of 2023. In terms of things that I'd like to add or change to the setup, there are really only two items. I'd like to find a USB-C switch/dock that I could use to change the input between my work laptop or my Mac Mini without physically having to switch the USB-C cable. However, I can't find something that works exactly as I want it to, so if you have any recommendations, please do let me know. Otherwise, the only other component that I may need in the near future is a set of minimalistic computer speakers. I used to have the Logitech Z623 system for years, but they were a little clunky and chunky and bulky. So to use that with this standing desk setup, I would have to actually literally put the subwoofer on top of the desk or mount it somehow underneath the desk, and it's like 20 pounds. So I'm not gonna be able to do that. Part of me wants to find the simple single speaker to mount right behind the monitor because I think that's probably going to be a better audio output than what I'm using right now, which are just the onboard speakers from each of the two computers. Besides these two things though, I think my setup will remain pretty much the same in the future. I like having a simple space to focus on the most important tasks at hand and avoid getting sucked into various distractions throughout the day. If you have any questions about the different parts of my setup, don't hesitate to reach out or drop a comment down below. If you like this type of content and want to see more of it, feel free to subscribe to my channel and check out some of my other videos. I'm going to try to post a lot more, so be sure to stick around and see what's coming next. Thank you so much for taking the time out of the day to check out my setup, and I hope you have a great rest of the day. If you have one of your own setup tours, leave a link to it down below. I would love to see it, and who knows, maybe some of the other viewers would too. Have a good day.